got up this morning, about 8:30 this morning, I was talking to the Lord, and the Lord said, no, this is where you need to go to. So, anybody who has never had to get up to speak, you don't understand. But when you have worked on preparing throughout the week, and then God says, that's not what I've got now. It's not that God didn't know to start with, but God tests us. He tests our obedience. And God likes to do things like that at what seems like the last minute to us sometimes. So we're not in the know. So we recognize that it's God who is doing the work. Amen? Amen. If you have your Bible this morning, look with me in the book of Zechariah, chapter 4. I'm going to read a very familiar passage of Scripture. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6. Let's go ahead and stand up this morning. Let's stand. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Not might, not power, but my Spirit. It's God's Spirit. Amen. Now, Zerubbabel, that's a mouthful. It was his job. He was supposed to be going to rebuild the temple. And this man needed encouragement at this point in time because the foundations were being laid. They were working on laying the foundation. And the Bible says that when the foundations were laid and the ancient men that had seen the former temple saw it, they cried. And when the people who had never seen the temple before, they rejoiced when they saw it. So you've got some people who are weeping, some people who are rejoicing, and this man caught somewhere in the middle with all the work that is going to be transpiring and what's going to be going on. But God has spoken to him. He said, your hands have laid this foundation, and you're going to work to see it completed. Now, the work being for Zerubbabel, he was in a time that needed encouragement, and God was sending the prophet to him to let him know, look, you're looking around about you. Now keep in mind that the land had been overthrown, the adversaries had come in, the temple had been burned down, they were still in adversity. You see this in the book of Nehemiah. They were despised by those round about them who would just as soon see them get into a place where the doors and the gates of Jerusalem never opened up again. The temple would never be reestablished, but everything would be desolate and barren, and that would be the end of it. And those in the land round about were content to see it so. So this man was coming in under a spirit of opposition, under a spirit of discouragement, because the people in the land were discouraged. The Israelites were discouraged. Yes, there were some who rejoiced over what was going on, and God was trying to encourage them to move forward, but there were a lot of discouraged people. So he's facing discouragement. He's facing opposition. He's facing folks who just flatly don't like him, some that don't want to get on board with him. And God is saying to him through the prophet, he says, look, I want you to know you're working this work. You are doing this. This is your job that I've called you to do. But it's not you that's going to do it. You see, in life, oftentimes, God calls us to things. He calls us to tasks. He calls us to purpose. He calls us to go beyond what our ability is, what our capability is, what our skill set is, what our knowledge is, what we look and we say, I cannot physically accomplish this. And God says, but I have called you to this purpose. But it's not you that's going to do it. He said it's not by power. It's not by military strength. It's not by power of the government. It's not by your influence. It's not by people that you know. It's not by the strength of your arm that the work will be done. It's not by might of any sort, again, military, physical, whatever it might be. Not power, not might, not any ability you can look at that man has, that man is able to produce, that man can do. Why? Because God is going to get the glory when the work happens. God is going to get the glory when everything takes place. God is going to be magnified in the midst of his people when the work is accomplished. It's by my Spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Now let's talk talk about the Spirit of God. I thought it was ironic, being Pentecost Sunday, that God began to speak this into me, and what was taking place. It's by the Spirit of God. How long in this age has the church struggled? We see that when the church, at its inception, when God called it into being, God began to propel it forward by the power of the Holy Ghost. Amen. We read in the book of Acts all the works that God has done through His people. Now Luke says that the things that God began to do, that Jesus Christ began to do. Do you realize that when you're reading that, and it says that there is a beginning, He does not tell you that He ended it. He says this is what He began to do. So we see that the church is impelled, it's unctioned by the power of God, and by the Spirit of God, and by the anointing of God. And the work that was going to be done was going to be God's work, accomplished in God's manner, through God's power, and God's might, and God's strength, that no man could ever look and say, look what I did. But it is the work of Jesus Christ upon the cross. And He said, behold, I'll send you another comforter, one who is going to be like me, who is going to pull up beside you, who is going to go ahead and live inside of you, and the power of God and my Spirit will be manifest through you to the world, that people might be able to see my glory inside of you. Bless God this morning. We see this in the beginning of the church. When the church, when it was conceived, when it was birthed, it started out with zeal. It started out with power. It started out with anointing. But somewhere along the way, even as Paul proclaimed to the Corinthians, you did run well. Who did hinder you? The church was hindered. The church got to the point. I heard a preacher preach it one time. He said the church has got a limit. Come on. Wow. The church did run well. But somewhere along the line, the church got a limit and started to slow down. The church started depending on its finances. The church started depending on the land it could accumulate. The church started depending on just the individuals who would show up. And when folks didn't show up, the church got discouraged. The church looked around at everything and forgot its source and forgot its power. May I tell you this morning, if it's you and God and that's all it is, you are in the majority this morning. You and God, that's all you need. You and God can get the job done. Because it's Him working through you. You're just the one showing up saying, God, I'm available. He's saying, I'll move inside and I'll take care of the work. I'll do the heavy lifting. I'll manifest myself. My presence will show up. Yes. But we see somewhere along the line, the church became dependent on other things. It became dependent on power. It became dependent upon might, upon the clemency of the government, upon what the government allows you to do or says that you cannot do, upon what the members say that you can do or that you cannot do, upon what the pastor says that you can do and you cannot do, upon what the theologians say you should be able to do and you shouldn't be able to do. What happened to a time when we took God at His word and we trusted Him and said, you know what? You are a naysayer. You are a doubter. You are a Thomas, if ever I have seen a Thomas, one who doubts God, who doubts His ability, who doubts His power, who doubts His word, who doubts His trustworthiness. You doubt God, but I'm going to stand on the word of God because my Bible lets me know it is a sure foundation, unshakable, unmovable, that will reside until the end of time, until God calls us home. The foundation will never be rocked. But the church became dependent on other things. We have entered into a period of time in history that the church during this time, if in none other, we need to remember where we came from. Amen. We need to remember who God is. We need to look back at the first works that were done. Not just by the church, but by us when we had a zeal, when we had a desire, when we had a hunger to walk and talk and work for God and do whatever thus saith the Lord. We need to go back to a time such as this. We need to remember from where we have fallen and strive to attain in again to that place one more time. You gotta work. But it's not your power. It's not your might. Glory to God. It's the Spirit of God. I had a dream one time. We've been married, I think, just a couple of years. And this dream has stuck with me throughout all these years. It's a lot of years. And I saw the face of a man. But this man had a mask on. But the mask was not a mask that covered the entirety of his face. It covered a portion here and a piece here, a little here. Parts would shine through of the face underneath, and parts would be a mask that would be hiding the face. And that thing troubled me. And I prayed, and God spoke a word into my spirit. I will not go into all of it. I believe some of it was just for me. But I believe the general for the church, and I believe it still applies to the church world, is that the church has hidden the glory of God. They have hidden the face of Christ behind a mask, behind what they want, behind their desires, behind their influences, behind what they think, and we have not allowed the glory of God to be manifested in the midst of His church as God desires to do. He said it is the hidden church. He said that God, His glory has been hidden by man. You hear what I'm saying this morning? Yes. When it becomes about us, when it becomes about what we think, what we like, what we want, how we want things to be, when it becomes about somebody else and what they like, what they want, the way that they think things ought to be, when it becomes about the building and the finances and glorifying and beautifying everything, when it becomes about anything else other than developing a relationship with Jesus Christ and leading people into a saving relationship with Christ, then we have hidden Christ away. Because for this purpose He was manifest, that all men might be saved. That was my dream. Not to make you feel good. Not to stroke your ego so you can feel like you're somebody important. Come on. Not to do it for me. I'm nobody and I'm nothing. I am a vessel. A vessel in and of itself is nothing. It's what we put inside of it that is important. You take a man who is thirsty, you can give him a cup of cold water, be it in a golden goblet or a clay vessel. If it's cool, clear water, he will drink and he will rejoice in it just as much, regardless the one over the other. The vessel was not important, but the contents were. What are the contents that we have now inside of the house of God? Amen. Yes. Woo. Hallelujah. Woo. Jesus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Jesus. Liberty. Hallelujah. God is ready for church to rise up. Amen. I made the statement last week, and I did not realize it was going to tie into this week's service, but the statement being, where are the Elijahs of God? Where are the people who will say, you know what, I'm going to trust God. I'm going to believe that God's power is still real. I'm going to believe that God is still able to. We have relegated God to a corner somewhere and said He cannot. You said, brother, no, that's not true. I still believe that God is able. If we believe it like we said we believe it, we would see it in the midst of us. Yes. Hallelujah, Jesus. Faith is something that you walk out. Faith is something that is manifested. Faith is something that manifests itself in the presence of God, to believe God for incredible things, but also to the world, so that the world can see our trust in God. This man Zerubbabel, he was faced with an impossible task, with opposition, with infirmity in his spirit, weakness in his spirit, if you would, because he was in a place of depression and despondency. That's why God said encouragement. You don't encourage a man who's encouraged. You encourage somebody who's depressed and who's down and out, right? Right. Yes, that's what we do. So God Himself, and He looks and He sees this man's place of discouragement, and he sends somebody to encourage him and to lift him up and to let him know it's going to be all right.
That's right.
Church, it will be all right eventually.
Amen.
Eventually, it's going to be okay.
Amen.
Eventually, things are going to work out. But you see, in the meantime, there's work for us to do. The man had entered into a place of discouragement, but the work was not going forward. He was looking around and out, and he was discouraged. God begins to speak to him, not by power, nor by might, but by my spirit, said the Lord. Goes down the vision leading up to this that the prophet saw. He saw 2 olive trees. And he saw a pipe coming out of each olive tree going down into a golden bowl. And from the golden bowl, the oil leaked out of the bowl, and it went into the lamp that had 7 branches that came off of it, so that the light would be perpetually burning. You see, a light, an oil lamp is something that you have to continually refill. But the heavenly vision that he was seeing and that was being manifested to the prophet was of a lamp that never needed refilling, because it was in a place of continual and perpetual refillment. It was in a place where it continually received from the source, from the olive tree itself. The fruit did not have to be harvested, but it was a spiritual fruit that was manifested, that leaked down inside of the bowl, and from the bowl it flowed out into the lamp, and from the lamp it caused the light to burn.
Hallelujah.
And this is where he speaks. This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel. Once he sees this vision, it's not by power nor by might, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. It was God working through everything to provide for the oil for the lamp. And it was God who created the trees, or allowed the trees to be manifested, from which the oil was going to be harvested. And it was God allowing for the pipes to flow down into the bowl. And it was God allowing for it to flow out from the bowl to the lamp. And it was God causing the light to burn as it consumed the oil that was in the lamp that came from the trees. You see where all this comes from? Yeah. But in everything I see there, I never see a man's hand. But I see God. I see God in the start. I see God in the middle. I see God in the end. He's letting me know, look, everything that you see, all this that is manifested to you, all of this great vision is God. It's me doing the work. I want you to raise your hand for a minute. Anybody that you've had a hard physical job? You work hard physical labor. Some of you looking at me like, what? You've had a hard job. You ever get to a place sometimes at work, hard job, you are worn out and you are tired, you've got to pick up something, you've got to do something, and somebody else comes along that you know they're a little bit stronger than what you are. You get ready to pick something up and you say, I'll take the light. And the person says, you know what? Or they look at you and they say, you know what? I'll take the heavy. I'll take the hard part. I'll do the hard part. It's all right. I'm more capable than what you're tired. You're weary. You've got worn down. You see the work of God, it is a hard physical job. It is a hard spiritual job. It is a hard emotional and mental job to do. But God looks and he says, you know what? I want you to show up on the job site and I want you to be ready to work. But when it gets down and things get hard, don't worry about it, because I'm going to be there to work with you to do the hard part. That's why he said it's not you. God don't need us. He don't need you. He don't need me. But he needs us.
That's right.
That's the difference. You know, I think about this, and you think about a child at Christmas time. Give me your Christmas list. Tell me what you want. Or be honest. Bagels, bicycle, this, that, and they'll list to you a lot of times what they want. They'll give it to you. And they're looking for it on Christmas Day. Amen? Oh, thank you, sister. All of the above. They're looking, yes, checking all the boxes. I got it all. They're looking for it. Understand what he wants. Now, that child doesn't need any of those things.
That's right.
But takes joy in the receiving of it. Now, you think God said, I love you so much and I desire you so much that I am willing to send somebody to die for you. So that I may make it a reality that we can be together, that I can receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye might be also.
Amen.
You see, that is why God desired, God's want, not his need, but his want. God loved you enough and he wanted you so much in his life, in his kingdom, in his very home. Not just as a citizen, but as a resident inside of his house. He wanted you so much that he sent Jesus. He wanted you so much that he says, now when things get hard and you get tired and it's weary, I'm going to be there with you to help you along.
Hallelujah. Amen.
But why? I know he loves us. But what? What does he want us to do? You realize you cannot earn the blessing of God. The Bible says your righteousness is as filthy rags. That the best you can do is trash. A filthy rag, that's where it goes, right? It goes into trash. The word's actually translated in the menstruous cloth. It's something unclean, something defiled, something to be done away with. But that is your best that you can do. So if you were somebody who likes to pat yourself on the back and say, what a good job I did. You know, I've done this at the church, I've done this at home, I've done this. I'm such a good person. Before you break your arm, pat yourself on the back. Let me tell you, the best that you've got is garbage. That's your best. But God loved us enough to say, you know what? I know all you got is garbage. But I'm going to give you glory. You're garbage. But I'm going to move it aside. And I'm going to place glory inside of it. And I'm going to bring it to you. And I want you to be manifested. You see, God is building the church. Zerubbabel is building the temple. God is building the church. God is using people to build his church. He goes on so much so that he says, look at all the building being knit together by joints and bands. We've got things that each of us supply for the church. The love of God manifested in each and every one of you is the bond that binds us together, that keeps us from falling apart, that keeps us from wheeling and going out here and just disintegrating as a church. God is building this church. He is building this people. He is building his house together for his glory, a place that his glory might come down and manifest to the man. But it's not by your power, but you've got power. It's not your ability, but you've got power. It's not you, but it's God. It's God going to work through. God wants you. But my question is, did you need him?
Yes.
Jesus said like this, those who hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you want? Do you look around and say, God, I'm tired of it every day. Seems like all we've ever been able to do is drag a few stones together and to begin to lay a foundation. But God, I'm ready for you to build a church. The church did run well, but then it was hindered. We've entered into a place now in time where the church has fallen into a state of decay and it needs repair. You see, there used to be a temple and it was destroyed. And now these people are seeing God working through a man to reestablish the house that he once had. And he has told them that the glory of the new temple is going to be more than the glory of the old temple, but they don't see it at this point in time. You've got some who are rejoicing, you've got some that's weeping, and all this is going on. People are in a state of confusion, but God is speaking. He's letting people know I can get the word. If you let me. If you will let me, I can get the work done.
Yes.
If you will hang in there, I can get the work done.
Amen.
If you will trust me, I can get the work done. If you will believe in me, I can get the work done. Don't fall into despair by what you see, but trust me as the God who is able to deliver, and I will show you my glory in the midst one more time. God says I can do. It's up to you today. The church, when it was birthed, and I'm going to touch on what I had studied. They went down to the Red Sea, the nation of Israel, had just been delivered. They're down at the Red Sea, they've got cliffs round about them, they've got the sea before them. They're boxed in by the land, they've got Pharaoh behind them, they are oppressed, and they are in a place where they do not know what to do. The people are beginning, they're looking around, they're looking back, they're discouraged, talking about how things used to be. They said, we're going to die where we're at. We had it better where we used to be. Moses stands up. Now Moses at this time understand he has not heard a word from God, other than I'm going to deliver my people. But he stands up, and Moses says, the Egyptians you see today, you'll see them no more again forever. He said, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Moses, it does not record it in Scripture, the following verses that come out that lets us know Moses was praying. And the hidden man of the heart, because the Lord speaks to Moses, he said, why are you crying unto me? He said, speak to the people that they go forward. Why is this important? You look on Corinthians, I've quoted the scripture to you many times. It says all these things that were done for our examples to us who should come after. You see, the nation of Israel was birthed with the words, let's go forward. Amen. Let's move forward. Forward against adversity. Seems like we're boxed in, we're up against impossible odds. We're in a place where we are about to be consumed, apparently overthrown. Nobody likes us. We're hedged in, and there's an impossibility in front of me. But God said, go forward. And this has ever been with the church. When God birthed the church, it has been as with the nation of Israel, is to go forward, to move forward, to continue onward, to move. This is where we're at. We're in a place where we're surrounded. We're in a place where there's a possibility seems like in front of us. What are we going to do? You want to tell you what we're going to do? We're going to go forward.
Hallelujah.
We're going to move forward. We're going to rise up. We're going to throw off the chains and the shackles that have tangled us. The doubt and the fear and the reservation and the things that want to anchor us down in tradition and mire us down in a place where we cannot move because we think God cannot work like that. And we are going to rise up, and God is going to speak the word. And as we take the step, the problems, the situation, the hindrances are going to roll back, and God's glory is going to be manifested in the midst. That's right. And we're going to see it's not by power. It's not by might. It's not by a program that you and I can come up with. Amen. It's not by all the phone calling that we can do, but it's going to be by the divine manifest power of God working in the midst of his people as he has proclaimed that he will do, and he says today that he will do. Yes. And we will go forward and attain victory. When the sea rolled back and the people went forward, the enemy pursued after them. But the children of Israel came out on the other side. And God said, Moses, stretch out your rod. All that they were trying to pursue them through, all that opposition, all the hindrances to the children of Israel, it overflowed the adversary, and he was lost from their sight forever. He was overtaken. Folks, God says, I'll make it the head, not the tail. The days of the life of Pentecostal Holiness Church are over. It's not time to close the door. That's right. But it's time to move forward. Amen. Hallelujah. Stand.